All right. Welcome. We are thrilled that you are here and looking forward to spending some time together. I uh, I have to admit, I was sure that the number that they sent me would not be correct. I figured it was sounded like a good idea when folks signed up, but then we all know that church happens and our world becomes very different. So I am glad that you are able to be here. Um, just give me a high five if you can hear me well. Okay, super, super. I'm so glad. We are going to use the chat function here in as we're working through this. Mary Todd Peters is the person who was going to be, hello, Miss Good. Mary Todd Peters is going to be the person here who kind of keeps us all in line. And really by that, I mean, keeps me in line, which is a full-time job. So I see hands raised. So John, you have a question?
No.
Okay. Your hand is raised. So let me see if I can lower your hand. These crazy things. All right. Jody, do you have a question? Your hand is up.
No question.
Okay. All right. I gotcha. All right. So we are going to, here's kind of how I'm thinking we will spend our time. I spent a good amount of time pondering how in the world I will try to create a sense of connection between what's now 180 people and have you have some sort of engagement. So what we're going to do is we'll spend kind of the first 15 or so minutes, 15 to 20 minutes talking about some content area. And then I'm going to send you into small groups so you have a chance to talk with colleagues. And then we'll come back and we'll do some general Q&A. And so I'm going to ask if you will use the chat function as we go through this afternoon, and any questions that you have, if you will put in the chat. Mary Todd is going to monitor the chat. And then while you all are in small groups, we're going to look at the questions and try to put those together in some semblance of order so that we will be efficient. Now, you will still have the opportunity to ask questions via chat when we come back. But we're going to see how that works. And if it works well, that's the style we'll keep for the next 2 days. If it doesn't work, I will be spending a good portion of the night figuring out how to make it a more effective and engaging experience for everybody. And those of you who know me well enough, and there are some of you on the screen, hello, Elaine Barnett, know that that is exactly what I will do is stay up to figure out how to do this. So, so many people that I'm seeing names of, and it just makes my heart glad. But at the same time, my heart is filled with sadness that we're not physically together. But thank heavens for technology and the ability, and for APSE's commitment to keeping us together and keeping us connected. So I've been told that, Aisha, look at you. Hello. So good to see you all. I've been asked to introduce myself. And that's probably a safer bet than asking someone like Mary Todd to introduce me, or several other people on the screen who know me too well and might remember me from, days at school or something. So I am I go by either Beck or Becky Davis. If you're getting formal, you certainly can call me Rebecca Davis, but most folks call me Beck or Becky. I am a Presbyterian minister, but I am also proudly a certified Christian educator and have been a certified educator since 1998, within 7 years of when I graduated from seminary and was ordained. I think that being certified as an educator, did I need it? No, but I wanted to hold myself to the highest standard that the PCUSA puts out there for church educators in excellence in education. I am currently, my call is as Associate Professor of Christian Education at Union Presbyterian Seminary, serving primarily on the Charlotte campus. Before that, I taught for 9 years at Presbyterian College, and before that, I did 20 years of supporting congregations either as educator, pastor, associate pastor, or on presbytery staff. So that's a bit about who I am. I am in Charlotte right now at my home. Go Hose, with a golden retriever who's leaning in like, don't you want to pet me, instead of being busy with these people. So that's who I am. Mary Todd, why don't you pop yourself on the screen and introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I see a lot of friendly faces on this screen. Some I know well and some I don't know yet, but I look forward to getting to know you at some point. My name is Mary Todd Peters. I do go by Mary Todd. I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and I serve New Hope Presbyterian Church. New Hope Presbyterian Church in Chapel Hill. It's about 150 members. And we are meeting in person by reservation right now and live streaming our worship services and on Zoom for everything else, just FYI. We've only had 4 people take us up on coming into the building to worship, not every Sunday, and I'm happy for that because I'd much rather everybody stay home. I am also on the annual events ministry team, and I will be co-directing the annual event in 2023. No, we don't have a place yet, and no, we don't have a theme. But you can give me some ideas and thoughts about that. Jamie Van Duck and I are co-directing that together. And it's my pleasure to be here to help Becky. And yeah, I'll tell some stories. Okay, that's all I have to say.
What is that doctrine of mutual destruction kind of thing? If you know stories on me, I know stories on you. So okay. We are so glad that all of you are here. And I want to open our time together with a poem. And I have that poem built into a PowerPoint. So let me pull that up. It's going to be our primary PowerPoint. Right here it is. All right.
And the people stayed home, and they read books, and listened, and rested, and exercised, and made art, and played games, and learned new ways of being, and were still. And they listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently, and the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices, and dreamed new images, and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully. as they had been healed.
Now, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do when I'm teaching a class at the seminary, and that's go back and forth between PowerPoints, but I want to be able to see as many of you as I can. So I want to know, just put in the chat so I can kind of see what thoughts or emotions are generated by watching and listening to that poem. Just pop that in the chat. Let me see what your responses are. Hope. Okay, lots of hope. Calm. Overwhelming. Great and sad. Okay, good. I'm not resting. I hear you. I hear you. Life, peace, sadness, lots of hope, some grace, some grief, questions about healing. Yeah, great. Conflict with how I feel and how I want to feel. When I first heard this, I felt hope. Now I'm not sure. Absolutely. So I will tell you that when I was asked to do this workshop or lead a workshop in some sort of area, I would imagine, no, Sarah Kate, with one as young as you have, it's not all that quiet and peaceful at home, but I bet she's a joy. I came up with they were like, we want you to do something that is, that kind of helps people name their experience and some grievance about, this and that, but whatever you want to. So I had been looking at poetry because, Krista Tippett talks to us about how poetry is necessary for the living and appreciation of life. And my own mentor would say that, used to say that those who work for justice must have art, because the work of justice is heavy on the soul, and art keeps it buoyant and keeps us renewed and going. So I found this poem and I thought, oh, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's how I want to frame it. So as I started working more with this workshop and bringing it to fullness, I went back and looked at this video. And I have to tell you that the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, that was early in the pandemic. That was when we thought this thing would be over, at least by the summer, and then by the fall, and then surely by the end of the year. And then it was like, well, then, okay, well, but we're going to have vaccines. And then it's like, yeah, but I don't know where you are, but in North Carolina, we just keep getting bumped down the list. So I'm going to share my screen again, because the other things that came to my mind when I looked at this was, yes, but then. And think about all that has happened in this world and in this nation since April 2020. I have a dear friend and colleague, Alonzo Johnson, who talks about a triple pandemic. It's the pandemic of health, the pandemic of poverty, and the pandemic of race. So our churches are not just dealing with what do we do about churches whose buildings have been closed. The church is not closed. Let's be very clear. The church is not closed, but our buildings, many of our buildings are shut down. At the seminary, there's still a sign on the door that says, this building is closed until further notice, effective March 14th, 2020. Sometimes when I know nobody else is going to be there, I sneak back in because I miss the place. So it's made me wonder, what is this that we're experiencing? And I will say that I was in a faculty board workshop when this analogy, this metaphor was used, and I immediately went scurrying to find the article and find it to be an incredibly helpful metaphor to get our heads around. So the question is, are we in this? Well, that's not doing what I wanted it to do. Are we in? So tell me, what is a blizzard? What are the characteristics of a blizzard? Pop it in the chat. Snow, cold. Yep. Entrapment, blurry. Can't see where you, I just saw one go by that said, I'm from New Orleans. Don't talk to me about that. Correct. It is all of those things. It is wind and it is cold and it is snow, 24 inches of snow that has to be shoveled, Bill Carter. Absolutely. But so that's a blizzard. So now, let me move this along. Let's see if I can get this. What's the difference between a blizzard?
You're kind of building out your
and
corporation,
winter.
because all sci-fi is always corporations, and you're collecting like cards.
A blizzard and winter. What's the difference? Visibility. Yep, Jenny. Good. Winter lasts longer. April Martin, you're exactly right. A blizzard is intense. And you kind of know it's coming, and it can be 27, 24, 31 inches of snow taller than we are. A blizzard, and what do you do when you're preparing for a blizzard? It's the same thing. Our sibling from New Orleans is how you prepare for a hurricane. A blizzard, you go out and you clean the shelves out of all milk and bread and toilet paper. And you stock up but you know it's only going to be for a short time. A winter is different. It's different because it lasts longer. You know it's coming, but you don't rush out and just kind of stock up like I have to have all of this and, empty the place of, remember the great TP storage of 2020. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I have to admit, I still have some toilet paper stored in some creative places in my home. So a winter is longer, but then there's this. Why is that not showing? All right, I'm going to get out of here because we're going to watch this. Let me share the screen. Wonder why. That's not normal for me to have things screw up like that, at least when it comes to this. So we're just going to pull this up and we're going to watch it this way. Yes, it is, in fact. And so now let me go to here and we'll watch it this way. In my zeal to make sure you weren't looking at a blank page. Here we go.
Diego, there are whole continents moving faster than you. Let's go. We got to catch up with the others.
Hey, knock it off. Oh, cry me a river, blubber-toothed tiger. Have some fun.
Can't you see the ice is thin enough without you two wearing it down?
Oh, Diego, come on. The ice may be thin, but it's strong enough to hold a 10-ton mammoth and a 9-ton possum.
If you play dead, you'll be dead. Look at me.
Diego!
Come on, Diego. Come on. No.
Take me sting a little.
All right. So, stop. So if we begin to think about where we are in the church, do you think that we are in a blizzard? Meaning we're in a really intense time, but sun's going to come out, it's going to thaw, and things will get back to normal? Are we in a time of winter where it's lasting a whole lot longer than we thought it would, and it makes driving kind of tricky, and we just don't get out with the kind of ease that we expected? Or are we in an ice age? So look at the reactions. You should have some reactions on the bottom of your screen. If you think that we're simply in a blizzard, give me a thumbs up or some of those reactions from the bottom. Blizzard. Yeah, I'm seeing a laughing face. I see a couple of thumbs up. We're in a blizzard. This is going to pass. All right. Thumbs down. Now, if you think we're in a really intense winter, but spring will come, summer will come, raise your hand, put your thumbs up, those kinds of things. All right. I see folks who, yep. More folks think we're in a winter. We just kind of got to hunker down and get through this, make sure we have enough wood carried in for the fire. You know what? It's not working for you in New Orleans, all this snow stuff, huh? Or how many of you think we're in an ice age where nothing is going to be the same again? All right. Lots and lots and lots of folks in that way. Long winter, ice age, absolutely. All right, all three. Yeah, I think you've got a good point there, Jane, is in some ways it is all three. Yes, Lisa, we were at, this is not all that different, we suspect, than it was 500 years ago. Think about, we were talking in faculty before the Christmas break. And one of the things that we, kind of batted around is I'm a big proponent of educational technology and how we as educators who moved from film strips and flannel boards. Remember flannel boards, friends? You have to be of a certain vintage to remember flannel boards. We have to move from flip charts and flannel boards and overhead projectors to some educational technology. And somebody likened that to the invention of the printing press. And I thought, well, that's a darn good analogy, because I think that's where we are. So yes, some folks will say, yeah, I think we're in all three of those places at one time. I'm inclined to think that when it comes to education, we are, if we're not already in an ice age, we're pretty darn close to being in an ice age. And so the question for us as educators becomes, how do we help lead the creativity that will be necessary to figure out how we are going to be church, how we are going to celebrate worship, how we're going to nurture faith in ways that doesn't that doesn't demean or dumb down our theology, but yet is relevant and helps us speak in a language when we can be where we can be understood. But part of the problem is that we don't even know what the language is or is going to be in this new place we find ourselves in. Meredith, I see your hand up. Do you have a question? I'm going to guess not. Okay. So, you know, what if we're thinking, let's play around with this idea of an ice age for a few moments. Think about the clip from Ice Age. Were there any parts there where you connected, where you thought, oh Lord, that's me, or that's my church, or that's my church school program or my faith formation program? Frozen with fear, okay? The tiger is afraid of water, absolute, hanging on by our claws. Yep. New leader, yep, biting the tail. I mean, now this might sting, but, and yet so very necessary. Trying to get, it is a bit like trying to get a woolly mammoth to move, isn't it? Reactions are different. Do you know which one, what's really struck me the most? Is when he lifted the eyeball and said, if you play dead, you'll be dead. And I just thought, I mean, for days when I would take my walk, I would think, oh, wow. You know, sometimes those movies have great lines that really call to us to think about, if we play dead, we'll be dead. You know, facing the death of what we have, what we love, facing the end of something that has felt really good and natural, saying goodbye to something that has been, that we've invested our entire life in, that brings grief. And I think that that's a whole lot of where we might be. And I think some of that grief can be so incapacitating that it makes us want to play dead when we're not. So I think one of the most important things, that's exactly right, Mark, is that we need to name the fear and grief of the undercurrent and the creatures that are swimming around all over the place. And so that made me turn to the Psalms. We often turn to the Psalms. There are some great books out, some new books out about the Psalms that are particularly moving. But I was struck by, I heard about this years ago when I was on Presbytery staff in Southwest Florida. Patrick Miller, one of the great scholars of the church who passed this year, talked about when you read Psalm 23, you must read Psalm 22 first and Psalm 24 after. That there is a strong connection between these two. There is a movement between these two, that is these three, that are absolutely necessary. And so as I was organizing this workshop and we had 3 distinct days, what came to mind was, this is what we need to do. So today we're going to read Psalm 22, and we're going to take a few moments in small groups to lament, to name the grief, to name the things that we miss, that we're afraid may never come back. This is a moment to offer to God that sense of loss, to name what we're experiencing, and to kind of move us into that direction. I'm asked Mary Todd if she would read Psalm 22 aloud for us. Mary Todd?
My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me, from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but find no rest. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. And you, our ancestors, trusted. They trusted, and you delivered them. To you they cried, and we were saved. And you they trusted, and were not put to shame. But I am a worm and not human, scorned by others and despised by the people. All who see me mock at me. They make mouths at me. They shake their heads. Commit your cause to the Lord. Let him deliver. Let him rescue the one in whom he delights. Yet it was you who took me from the womb. You kept me safe on my mother's breast. On you I was cast from my birth, and since my mother bore me, you have been my God. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls encircle me, strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouths at me like a ravening and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted within my breast. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to my jaws. You lay me in the dust of death. For dogs are all around me, a company of evildoers encircles me. My hands and feet have shriveled. I can count all my bones. They stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots. But you, O Lord, do not be far away. O my help, come quickly to my aid. Deliver my soul from the sword, my life from the power of the dog. Save me from the mouth of the lion, from the horns of the wild oxen you have rescued me. I will tell your name to my brothers and sisters. In the midst of the congregation, I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you offspring of Jacob, glorify him. Stand in awe of him, all your offspring of Israel. For he did not despise or abhor the affliction of the afflicted. He did not hide his face from me, but heard when I cried to him. From you comes my praise in the great congregation. My vows I will pay before those who fear him. The poor shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him shall praise the Lord. May your hearts live forever. All the ends of the earth shall remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations shall worship before him. For dominion belongs to the Lord, and he rules over the nations. To him indeed shall all who sleep in the earth bow down. Before him shall bow all who go down to the dust, and I shall live for him. Posterity will serve him. Future generations will be told about the Lord and proclaim his deliverance to a people yet unborn, saying that he has done it.
Thank you, Mary Todd. A long psalm, a long list of frustration with current context, with all things that are all around us. the naming of grief. So we're going to send you to small groups for, let's do this for about 12 minutes, Mary Todd. And be present with each other. Listen to the pain of one another. Hold each other. Because the good news is we won't be left there. But we must sit with Good Friday before we can get to Easter Sunday. So if you have a question that you want to raise in the time when we come back, please put it in the chat. And otherwise, remember, you have to choose to go into the group when you're ready. See you all in a few minutes.
Hey, Becky, this is Stephanie.
Yes.
Hey, I don't think that Magdalena made it in. So there's nobody to keep in the main room, but make sure you're not assigning the interpreters to a breakout room.
Too late.
The interpreters can choose to come back out.
Yeah, it looks like they're not choosing. I was gonna,
Okay. I bet, Mary Todd, I bet you can, I think you can bring them out of the room.
I think they just stayed like I did. I just didn't
Okay.
accept my room. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
So they can probably hear me now, right? Magdalena was having trouble finding her workshops, and I don't think she made it in today. I'm hoping that by tomorrow she is here. So I just popped in here because I knew she was having trouble. So we're continuing to interpret and record. So interpreters, we're still interpreting because it's a 3-part workshop, and then hopefully she'll be able to figure it out tomorrow. But then Becky, did you get my message that, so when you do have breakout rooms, and if she is here the next 2 days,
leave it in the main room, leave her in the main room
with the interpreters, but also with a few other people so she can have conversation too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, clearly we've got some folks who have either stepped away or choosing to stay.
Yeah.
So yeah, sounds
Sorry.
good.
Sorry, and I can turn on my video. Hi.
Hey there, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you
Good.
for, I know this is a lot of people to manage, so I just wanted to come in and make sure that everybody knew what was going on. Cause it's like,
I think we're doing okay. I've got Mary Todd, so I know everything's okay.
So Stephanie, I didn't know that it was you that was messaging me in the chat because it just says PCUSA Chris.
Oh, sorry. You're like,
Okay.
who is that?
No, it's fine. So she didn't show up or that needed interpretation.
She's not here in the workshop. I unless she renamed herself.
Okay.
So I was emailing with her earlier. I thought we figured it out, but we might not have.
Okay.
Where she's having trouble figuring out where to go in the schedule to get into her workshops.
Okay. And tell me her name again.
Her name is Magdalena Gonzalez.
Okay.
So the two instructions for the next 2 days is, have a main room breakout room so she can have conversation and get interpretation. And the second instruction is when you go to Q&A time, have everybody in the workshop choose their language. So if they're English, they choose English. If they're Spanish, they choose Spanish. That way she could ask questions in her own language.
Okay, so, all right, so they choose, where do they choose their language?
Down there at interpretation, you just click on the.
I see,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so every single person or just the folks who need it?
Every single person chooses English or Spanish in Q&A. Like if you're gonna have people talk out loud,
Yeah.
But you won't need, it doesn't look like you're gonna need to worry about it today.
Okay. All right,
So,
sounds good.
yeah.
Thank you.
And so interpreters, I hope that you're all good with that. Do you have any questions about that before I log off? Thank you for being here. And we are recording this so that we have great recordings in Spanish too. So hopefully Magdalena will be with you tomorrow.
Okay, Alex says everything seems to be good.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Hey, oh, we're doing a roundtable about opening doors.
Oh,
I know you have,
good.
like, 1 billion things to do, but it's the one that says previewing a new leader site. So if you happen to go to roundtables and you want to join us, please do.
When is that?
Those are at
2:45.
2:45 Eastern. Yeah.
2:45. Okay.
Just today.
Just today.
Just today.
And so when you click on that link, you get to choose which one you go in, or somebody.
Yeah. No, you get to choose which one you want to go in, and you can change, and so there can be people in and out, but we do have one about opening doors. So
Okay, so question on that is do they send us, like, I got an email this morning that had the link to the worship and the plenary, but that's all I've gotten. Will I get another email that has a link to those?
Mary Todd, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think we figured out the website crashing issue. And so now you should be able just to go to appcnet.org, log in, and see the whole event. It's just
Okay.
This morning there was an issue, right?
There was an issue this morning. I have not heard that they fixed it, but hopefully they did. I can go
I
to
can
the
get in.
website. Yeah.
And everybody got into this workshop, so they didn't get individual links for this workshop, I don't think. They had-
Okay.
Yeah. So you had a pretty good number. So my guess
Yeah.
is everything's been fixed. It was just this morning's opening session. The website was
Right.
like crashing.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
See you. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mary
Bye,
Todd.
Stephanie.
Sorry for the
Thank you.
confusion.
Nope.
No,
That's okay.
no, you're fine. You're fine. Hey, no, Bronwyn. Dang it. Somebody knocked at the front door and she's off. Hold on a minute. Since
Oh.
Lord have mercy. Hey. She's like, I'll get your attention one way or another.
That's right. My dog is asleep underneath the desk.
Yeah, I'm like, don't you have a nap to take? Go away. All right, so I didn't see any questions, so I'm gonna assume that what we're gonna do is have people kind of name aloud kind of what are some of the things. And then I'm gonna talk about the beauty of Psalm 22 is that you don't stay there. And that even within the context of that one psalm, we're able to see what that movement, of course, now she has her squeaky toy that she.
I can't hear it.
That's good. That's good, because she's being a little something else, that little patootie. Do they really have 40 minutes left in breakout rooms?
So I don't know how to, they didn't give me an option for setting the
Oh,
time.
okay. So what you do is when you can't look at it now, but when you get ready to when you set up your breakout rooms, there's a little spoke, a little cog in the left-hand bottom corner before you hit open break rooms.
Okay, I'll look at it. I'm gonna text them 5 more minutes.
Yes.
Not
No,
40.
not 5
Oh,
more
don't-
minutes. Text
How
them
many?
2 more minutes.
How many?
2, because we're done at 2:15,
Oh, okay.
and it'll take him a little while to get back.
Okay. All right. But I can close all rooms when we're ready.
And yes. You'll just hit close rooms. It'll probably give them a 30-second warning. And then why don't you and I stay afterwards for a moment, and I'll walk you through that piece.
Okay, great. So I did not know that we had an interpretation or somebody that needed an interpreter. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at how to do that again. Stephanie was supposed to let me know that, and
How to do what?
to like do the breakout room and so that they stay.
Okay. I can help you do that. It's
Okay.
You'll go, oh my gosh, that's so easy. You really will.
Okay. Should I go ahead and close the rooms or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We lost Christy's speech, sorry.
I say our group didn't quite get finished either.
Either.
Yeah, so if you want to know more about our webinars, go to
Neither.
poamn.org and you'll get these free webinars that are going to be celebrating longevity around the world is our theme.
Hi, Karen Wagner, right?
Hello, Mary Todd. How are you?
This is Lita.
Oh, Lita, I missed you. You weren't on my screen. I saw, oh, there you are.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you. This
Well,
has been fun to see so many faces that I'm like, oh my gosh, I see these
Yeah.
people. That's been.
I miss Lita. Hi, Lita.
Karen, how old are the twins?
All right, I'm going to pull us back together. Though I am going to ask you to, we're going to try this. I'm going to ask if you would be willing to share, not long, just a quick naming some of the things that you were lamenting, that you were grieving. Name some of those experiences. Time with family. Let's see if we can have some of you unmute yourself and speak your reality into the group, please. Catherine Campbell, go.
We grieve transitions. We grieve not being able to see people in person, which is not uncommon. We grieve just the weight of everything and trying to be all things to all people when that's really not what we're supposed to be doing.
Good, thank you. Elizabeth Nix.
Our group had similar grieving, not interacting with our children and our parents not engaging, but also division and people stopping listening to each other, which have hurt communities.
That's right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Julia?
Our group had a mix of being sad for the personal contact that's been sacrificed, but it was balanced with a bit of like, how do I say this? A bit of excitement is at learning how to adjust and to figure things out. So there was this grief of the personal contact, but being grateful that we still have ways to figure out how to at least still see each other and be together.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Katie Schaefer, baptisms without a congregation to be a part of it. Boy, that has been the thing that I have really, really wrestled with this year. And found myself realizing I'm more of an old coot than I ever thought I would be on that issue. So, all right. So here's the thing. If you noticed in Psalm 22, it started out with this sense of, excuse me here, God, exactly where are you and what are you doing and why aren't you here helping me? These are words that we're very familiar because these are words that Jesus used to express his own anguish, his own human anguish and pain on the cross. But as you go through it, you begin to see in Psalm 22 that you don't stay there. That yes, that's where you start. You're speaking out of your pain. But as you move through it, you begin to hear the psalmist begin to rehearse the things that God has done in the past and recognize that the psalmist is not the first person to feel that way and to experience alienation and to experience the evildoers and to experience all of the pain that's happening. And so that psalmist begins to kind of walk through rehearsing the stories of the great and mighty acts of God. And in the rehearsing of those stories, memory begins to emerge, and through memory, meaning and the realization that, if God has been there in the past, God will be here with me now. And so the psalm ends with an affirmation of who God is, but didn't rush through that. So as I'm thinking about what we're going to do and how we're going to organize this workshop, I use that word loosely with 177 people in the workshop. The way in which what we're going to organize this is today we named our lament. Today we named the things that we miss and that we're afraid may not ever come back. And the things that might be, disorientation and orientation are two very important things that Brueggemann talks about when it comes to the Psalms. What are those things that are swimming under that water in Ice Age that might actually break up through the ice and get a hold of us? We've done that. We have to acknowledge that what we've experienced this year is trauma. And we are used to trauma happening to most other people. Most people in the United States do not experience, most dominant culture people do not experience trauma in the way that that dominant culture has marginalized do. There are plenty of people in this nation that experience trauma every day. One of the most powerful things when I was after 9/11 and I was working in Washington, D.C. with Marian Wright Edelman, and the conversation was, the folks in inner city experience terrorism every day. Every day. But the church, which has been dominant culture, particularly white dominant culture, is not used to widespread trauma. So tomorrow, we're going to spend some time with Psalm 23. But we're also going to talk about what is trauma-informed pedagogy, because we're going to have to rethink how we teach, what we teach, how we build relationships, how we mend relationships. And so we're going to turn to trauma-informed pedagogy to help us begin to look at new ways to do education and faith formation and those kinds of ministries. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow, is trauma-informed pedagogy. And then on the last day, we'll move to Psalm 24. And then we're going to look at this leadership method that is been around a while, but I think it's time for us as educators to start thinking through. And it looks at volatility and uncertainty as we begin to look at what does that look like and how do we put ministry together in the midst of an ice age. I don't even think, if we're in an ice age, which I think we are, we're not even out of it yet. We're not even out of it yet. So we've got to be thinking about what does ministry look like now, as well as how do we craft educational ministry for a church that doesn't even know who it's going to be yet. We know we're going to be the church. We know we're going to be God's continuing presence in the world until Christ come again. There's no doubt about that. We will be the presence, we will witness to the presence of God's ongoing work in this world until Christ comes again. But how are we going to do it? And that's what we're going to look at for the next 2 days. So my time with you is up. It feels crazy because it feels like we just got started. But I hope that you'll come back tomorrow and we will take this up where we left off. Thanks for giving an hour of your time today. I'm so glad you could be here.